Hey, welcome to Figure Friday. It's Friday. Sorry, I'm a minute or two late. WizKids drops brand new HeroClix rules article right as I'm about to go live. I gotta read it real quick. I suppose I could have read it on stream with everybody, but I know not everybody is super into HeroClix rules updates like I may be. Which is fine. Zardoz, they are... I mean, it depends on your perspective. Yeah, Arsenal Roy, I'd agree with that. They're definitely streamlining a lot of things in that game. In a lot of ways, I do like the look of these new rules. Obviously, you know, I would want to try them at some point, but yeah, I mean, there are some rules in HeroClix that were, well, let's put it this way. HeroClix at its core is pretty simple, right? You roll to hit. It's based on your dial. Like there's a lot of stuff that's pretty straightforward. But then they would have these certain mechanics and certain interactions that were very complicated. And one of them, knockback, they just cut down to a very basic. It's a few lines of text for the rule, but they just made it a lot easier. Now, is this going to piss off a lot of veteran players who would build around like crazy knockback figures and stuff? Yeah, some people are going to be really upset. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, I think everything they've shown has been good for teaching, for getting new players in. I don't want to say it's I mean, I guess it's sort of like Warhammer moving from 7th edition to 8th edition. A lot of stuff was streamlined, and a lot of people worried about the losing nuance and losing flavor for things. And some things didn't feel exactly like they did in the previous edition, but it all turned out okay. We all survived. We all kept playing. So yeah, I'm excited. I have yet to see a rule that's like, oh man, that's gonna make my favorite figures unplayable or anything like that. So that is good. Not that I play Warhammer or play Warhammer. Well, I mean, I don't play anything, but not that I play HeroClix all that much these days. But I'd like to once again at some point. If it wasn't for this pesky embargo, I would show. I'll have to wait till next week, but I have figures from the new set to show. But I am embargoed, and I follow my embargoes, so you'll have to wait. So yeah, they're all the previews going out right now for the Fantastic Four Future Foundation set, which is quite a mouthful. My preview article should go up on Monday, barring any strangeness in the universe. It is an interesting set, I will say. They introduced a bunch of mechanics and things, and right before the set that's going to change fundamentally how the game works. So that's always kind of an interesting thing. It's like, all right, look at this new set. We've got all these cool new toys to play with. But in a month, everything's going to change. Yeah, it was really interesting because for many years there was a lack of Fantastic Four representation in just about everything. And again, I mean, depending on how many of the rumors you believe, was it core Marvel trying to torpedo Fox's use of Fantastic Four for movies and blah blah blah? Who knows? I don't know how much of that to believe. But it definitely did happen as far as products go. There were not Fantastic Four things for a bunch of years. But oh boy, did they come back in force. So last year we got a new starter set for the Fantastic Four, and then a full expansion set based on the Fantastic Four. And now we're getting another expansion set based on the Fantastic Four, along with, Fast Forces and everything else. So yeah, lots of Fantastic Four. This set is interesting because it is almost all good guys. Heavily themed to the Future Foundation era of comics, which I didn't read all that much. Never been a huge Fantastic Four guy, but that's fine. It's interesting. But I do like some of the new things they've added to this set, and there are some new mechanics in this set that will carry forward even with all the rules changes. They have new classifications for figures. Figures can now be sidekicks, captains, and allies. And so it's just a little bit more flavor. So if you have a bunch of sidekick characters, they can be buffed by one captain who's anywhere on the board. Usually it doesn't even have to be near them, so that's kind of cool. And then there are ally figures who can help both captains and sidekicks. I think they could do some really interesting things with that going forward. So yes, if you're into the Future Foundation, you could play a bunch of the kids from the Foundation, and then a captain or two to give them all additional powers, and you could definitely have some fun with that. I don't know that would be a competitive team, but it could definitely be fun. Yeah, with the last few starter sets, they had additional I mean, simple campaign, but actual campaign rules to do narrative games that, one led into another with some little mild special rules. For the upcoming Wonder Woman set, which again is going to be the debut of all of the crazy stuff, there's going to be a Wonder Woman themed starter set. I don't know exactly what the name of it is, but it's going to be a substantial starter pack. I think it's 8 figures. Some appear to be variants of their main set figures. So that should be cool. Hopefully I'll be down to do previews for that set. We'll see. You never know. Also, the Wonder Woman set here, and the Wonder Woman set is going to see some new Lantern figures. I think I mentioned this the other week, but we've seen so far that it's going to have Green Lantern, Hal Jordan. It's going to have Wonder Woman as a Star Sapphire. We know there are going to be at least a Green Lantern construct equipment thing, so I'm very excited for that. Yeah, Arsenal Roy, exactly. Like kids aren't going up against Galactus. I mean, they could try. I am, of course, continuing on with my Blackstone Fortress here, but look, I'm almost done. I'm almost finished. Very excited. We were supposed to have gotten the second deck start. Oh, thank you so much, Arsenal Roy 2K. I appreciate that. Yes, I do. I always forget to mention it, but up there is a donation bar. I am raising money to do a Storm Speeder, the new Space Marine vehicle that comes out next week. Pre-orders go up for it tomorrow? Or is it up for pre-order now? I forget. Anyway, it comes out soon, and it's another vehicle that I think would be cool to do as a community project. Vote on the name and all that kind of stuff. So that's going on up there. There was so WizKids does this program where winners at tournaments and things get to design figures for upcoming sets, or pick a figure that's going to come into an upcoming set, that kind of stuff. And if I'm remembering my history, somebody really wanted to do another deck star, but it was too soon after the first one was made or something. I don't know. I could have that wrong. It's been a while since, I think, since Dexstar was actually in the comic book, so I don't know if we're going to see another one of him anytime, unless he comes back into the comics prominently. Hello, Emily Wolf. Welcome. Hopefully you're having a good Friday. Hopefully everybody is having a good Friday. Yeah, so I haven't streamed since my insanely crazy Wednesday, which turned out to be very nice. Like I said, Wednesday was World Read Aloud Day. Excuse me. If you were here, you got to hear me read some Horus Heresy novel passages out loud. And beyond that, I ended up doing 2 Zoom calls with middle schools. One on the East Coast, just outside of Boston, and one here in the LA area. And I also recorded a video that went to another middle school class somewhere on the East Coast, and they were great. I had a really good time. I talked about reading and writing, and read some passages from my book, and the kids were mostly attentive. And for 5th, 6th, and 7th graders, I don't know what more you could have asked for. They asked questions, which was nice. So yeah, it was neat. Definitely a program I'll look to do again next year. Although apparently there's another like reading aloud encouraging thing happening next month. So I'll see if anybody would like me to drop in for that. And then of course we did our very silly, very wacky relaunch, whatever you want to call it, for our Myths and Video Games over on the Pete Wiz channel. And Rabid Wombat here was a very good sport, because the idea was that we were going to create a new video game and discuss like what the setting would be, what the characters, the mechanics, and blah, blah, and all that sort of stuff. And very quickly it became a riff off of wombats and other silly things like that. But it was fun. There were lots of hugging and wombats. Oh, okay, Zardoz. Yeah, like I am out of the loop with comic books. I have not been reading comics lately. Last year, partway through last year, I had to go cold turkey and give up my monthlies. It was getting to be too much. I was buying a lot of comics, investing a lot of time and energy into it, and I just had to stop. So I've continued on with getting some trades, but I kind of cut out a lot of comic books from my life, and I'm okay with that. Again, I heavily use the Hoopla app, and I use that to read a lot of comic books, so I definitely recommend that, including really recent stuff. So there's that. And I don't know, I'll probably get back into comics at some point, but for right now I'm doing okay without him. It does make it a little bit more interesting when I get a HeroClix preview from WizKids, because nowadays I have to do a little bit more research than I used to do to talk about characters and storylines. It's like, wait, what is this person doing now? Oh my goodness. She's good now? He's bad now? What has happened in the last couple of years? I know DC's doing some crazy future alternate versions of characters again, which is always interesting. Oftentimes hit and miss, but always interesting. When I'm tearing my way through the Titans TV show on, well, it was on DC Universe, now it's on HBO Max. I think I'm almost done. Most of the way through season 2 already. That show is wild. Wild. Oh yeah, future state. Yeah. Yeah, some of the character designs look really cool. I have no idea what the story is, or if there's really a good one, but it looks cool. Yeah, Titans is wow, that show is the grim dark of DC Comics on TV. Holy crap. Teen heroes murdering people, and just everybody's really angsty all the time. It's like that. I'm a sucker for... Yeah, I haven't watched that much of Doom Patrol. I started Doom Patrol, and then it didn't grab me enough right off the bat that I started, watching it regularly, and then switched over to Titans. But when I'm done with Titans, I'll go back and continue on with Doom Patrol. It wasn't bad, it just didn't suck me in. Yeah, so obviously I really love DC Comics, and I've been reading them for a very long time. So I am a sucker when a new DC Comics property comes out that delves into continuity and brings in obscure characters. And wow, the Titan show, every new episode has like a bunch of they introduce a bunch of new characters, a bunch of references to comic book storylines. So I am definitely a geek for that kind of stuff. I will say it does hinder the storylines, and some of the characters get no screen time and no whatchamacallit, character development, because there's not enough time for character development when there are 10 new characters being introduced every 5 minutes. Just making sure these little spiky boys are getting cleaned up. Yeah, and I knew, like, when the show was coming out, I would hear like casting things and ooh, he or she is in the show, but yeah, it's neat. I like it for that kind of stuff, because I'm a big old nerd. Endless trimming of models. In my talks to the middle school students, I keep wanting to call them kids, which I don't know, I guess that's probably demeaning, but I talked a fair amount I tried to do it a little bit differently for the different meetings, because talking to a 5th grader is a little bit different than talking to a 7th grader. So for one of the older classes, I was talking about a little bit more about writing, and that, because obviously, like I said, I had my book, and I was talking about being an author and publishing and all that kind of stuff. And I said, my book is a baby name book, but there are lots of other things that geeks like to name, and you know, it's also good, like if you're a writer, you need names for characters, and no matter what you're writing. And that really resonated with one of the classes, and they're asking questions about it. And then at the end, the teacher said, you know what, we're going to get in touch with our school librarian and make sure to order a copy of your book so we can use it for naming characters when we write stories. I thought, oh, that's cool. Oh, I need more bases. Dive into the base bag. For those of you who watch Jessica's streams, I had a thought. If you know her fans and her followers these days, I had a thought that in... Whoa, that was weird. My screen just flashed at me. Did anything weird just happen? Okay. I'm assuming everything's okay. I had a thought that in some strange world, like one of the classes that I was zooming into to talk to, Chicky Tacos would be in that class. I don't know exactly what grade he's in, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but I thought that would be pretty amazing, because of course I have no idea what Chicky looks like, but that I'd start talking, he'd be like, oh my god, I know that guy. But it didn't happen. Oh, I love it when the figures snap together. Yeah, I have my computer off to the side, and there was like a flash of light. But everything looks okay. I don't see any error messages. My bit rate is actually quite high right now, which is cool. Who knows? Storm Speeder, I mean, I guess, I don't know, if you squinted, maybe? Oh my god. Okay, so Shazam fans, did you hear the story that was published on Bleeding Cool yesterday or the day before, recently? Anybody hear about something Shazam related? Because we were just talking about this, weren't we, the other day, about the... Alright, so for those of you who aren't comic book nerds going way, way back, when the character was first introduced in Fawcett Comics a million years ago, Billy Batson, young Billy Batson, would say the word Shazam, the name of the wizard, and turn into Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, you say? But that's... yes. So what happened was Captain Marvel was an insanely popular comic when it first started. In the late 40s? Something about that? And I don't know exactly. I don't know that offhand. But it was very, very popular for a while. And then it basically faded into obscurity. DC ended up taking over Fawcett, used a bunch of the characters. Am I getting the names right? I think sometimes I get them confused with... Yeah, Charlton was the other ones. And then the character, they basically stopped publishing stories about the character. And it kind of languished. And then Marvel Comics was like, well, hey, we're called Marvel Comics. We want our own character named Captain Marvel. So they created one, and then there ended up being lawsuits and a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo about a character's name within a comic book versus the name on the cover and all sorts of garbage like that. And so then whatever happened behind the scenes, eventually DC decided, or was forced, I'm not exactly sure, essentially to let the Captain Marvel name go. And then that was when the character was renamed to be Shazam. Now, also interestingly, not all writers have stuck with that over the years. So you'll get things like, what was the tie-in? There's a comic book tie-in to one of the big events. Oh, it was what was it called? What was it called? With Grant Morrison, and it was the event where each comic was about something, a totally different world. Arsenal Roy, do you know what I'm talking about? Was it Final? No, it wasn't Final Crisis. It was, yeah, Multiversity. That's it. So Multiversity was again one of these crazy multiverse ending things, but they did a really cool thing where different issues were about wildly different worlds, and they did a Shazam issue that referred to him as Captain Marvel, and some other things still occasionally will refer to the character as Captain Marvel, which is cool. Anyway, as the years go by, more and more things have to be changed to reflect the prominence of the name Shazam and the slowly getting rid of the name Captain Marvel, because you have secondary characters who are based on the Marvel name, notably Mary, who used to be Mary Marvel when she transformed into her superhero persona. Freddy, who used to be Captain Marvel Jr., so clearly he needs a new name. And, you know, it goes on and on and on. Now, the rumor from, we'll call it a rumor, from Bleeding Cool. There's another character that is very important to this Shazam / Captain Marvel universe, goes by the name of Black Adam. You may or may not know who Black Adam is, depending on how much of a comic book nerd you are. But Black Adam, yeah, exactly. CM3 was an interesting way to get around that. Yeah, so The Rock is doing a movie about Black Adam. In theory, I mean, this thing has been in the works for a very long time, but they do actually seem to be working on it, which is good. But yeah, Black Adam he's basically like an anti-Shazam, but he's an anti-hero. Over the years in the comic books, he's been everything from very bad to very good. He's served on superhero teams as well as villain teams. He's an ancient character. His original name was Teth Adam, Teth, back in like Egyptian times. Of course, he lived in Kandak. But the rumor is that he is no longer going to be called Black Adam. That his new name is going to be, brace yourselves, ShazAdam. And dear God, that sounds even worse to say it out loud than it does to read it on the screen. ShazAdam. Yes, Zardoz, that was a really cool moment in Infinite Crisis. Toward the beginning, Psycho Pirate uses his emotion controlling powers to control Black Adam, and then they meet up at the end, and Black Adam is not very happy with him, and and he takes his fingers, he jams his fingers through the mask, through Psycho Pirate's eyes, and he says, "No more faces," or no more something faces, which is a great moment and a great line for him. Yeah, ShazAdam. I don't know. And then it got us thinking, okay, well, are they all of the other characters in that sphere, are they going to rename them all like this? No more funny faces. There you go. Is it going to be like Shaz Freddy and Shaz Eugene for the other characters? We've already seen them changing. I think this is the one I talked about, but Mary used to be... Well, first of all, Mary used to be Mary Batson. She used to actually be related to our boy Billy. And then they became... Hey, Tiny Chris. And then they became fellow... whatchamacallit? Not orphans, but foster kids with the same family. And then they separated out. Now technically she's Mary Bromfield. I don't know where they got that name, if that's a reference to something. And then she was... So it used to be that her superhero name was Mary Marvel. Well, can't have Mary Marvel if we have no Captain Marvel, can we? So now she's... Well, mostly when we see things, she's Mary Shazam now, which just sounds... I think it sounds terrible. Apparently, there's some comic book that's referring to her as Lady Shazam, which I don't know if that's better or not. Also annoying. With the advent of ShazAdam, we thought maybe Mary could just be Shazam. That would be just as bad as all the other things. But yeah, it's kind of wild, and we'll see where everything goes with this stuff. Ooh, ouch. Very, very spiky parts. There we go. In theory, I'm excited for a Black Adam movie. The Rock genuinely seems to be excited about the character. Dwayne Johnson. He's, of course, producing and everything else for that movie, which is fine. It's always good to see an actor who is very excited about the role and going beyond just playing the role, but being a part of the production. The cast, the other characters that they've announced who are going to be in the movie, is awesome. We've got Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher. So some other really cool, I don't even know if I'd say secondary, but maybe tertiary characters from the comics that very often don't get a lot of love and attention. So we'll see. We'll see if it actually happens. And when. Yeah, I mean, if we're really lucky, yeah, they'll actually turn this into a Justice Society franchise starter, and we get more Justice Society stuff, which also would be cool. I mean, I was about to say, well, they're going to have to retcon stuff, but I mean, everything DC does has to be retconned, because they don't really think ahead so much with their movies. Or the teams change every 10 minutes. Alright, we are almost done with our Trader Guardsmen and our entire Blackstone Fortress set. We'll do parts 5, 6, and 7 next. Yeah, they're not just there to make Black Adam look like a badass when he murders them. Hopefully not. I did wonder. I don't know if we talked about this here, but in the new Wonder Woman movie, I'll keep the spoilers light. I know not everybody has had access to it unless you have HBO Max or had HBO Max. It's no longer on there, or if you went out to go see it in a theater. But in the movie, there was a very brief scene that took place in a fictional Middle East country. Now, Black Adam's story takes place in his origin story, at least, takes place in a fictional Middle East country. Not the one that was in the Wonder Woman 1984. But I wonder, though, if they did have that scene to sort of start the process to get people used to, okay, in the DC universe, in the DC world, there are these other countries in, these other countries in the Middle East. I also wonder if, like, maybe the one that was in Wonder Woman will turn out to be the evil country in the Black Adam movie that he has to fight against. So I don't know. I wonder if there was some element there that's going to be pointing toward the Black Adam movie. Yes, Tiny Chris. So this is from the boxed game Blackstone Fortress. This game had some adventurers that you play in the game, and then a whole bunch of bad guys. So I'm finishing up my bad guys. So right now I'm building Trader Guardsman. Yeah, no, and for sure, Bialya does have its own, like there have been stories that are set in Bialya, and characters from there. But I wonder if Bialya is going to play, excuse me, some kind of part in the Black Adam movie. I don't know. That's just my musings. I could be totally off the mark. Has anyone heard anything more about this mythical Green Lantern show that they're working on? Obviously, the pandemic is going to slow everything down, but I feel like we should have heard something by now. I'd like to know more, as they say. I have hopes. I hope they don't let me down. There have been so many good Marvel movies and famous, if not great, DC movies over the years. And it's like, man, and me as a Green Lantern fan, I don't want to be the one laughed at anymore. Based on my favorite character and his one movie out in. Give me some good Green Lantern content I can point to. I do like the 2 Green Lantern animated movies that that DC did. It's been a while since I've watched them. I should watch those again. First Flight and Emerald Knights. I think those were the names. And then, of course, there was the animated series, which was cool. I wonder if I could show that to my kid. Benjamin's old enough to watch that. Probably. Oh, I was so disappointed. I looked up, because I wanted to show him. we're trying to get the kids into superheroes again. Charlie Picker. Great. Good. And yes, I do know that name. Oh, that's funny. We want to get the kids into superheroes again, and I figured, well, what better way to get them into superheroes than going back and watching Super Friends? Super Friends is not streaming anywhere without you having to pay extra money to watch it. Like having rented on Amazon or something. That is very disappointing. So that was a bummer. But then I figured, well, maybe we'll just do whatchamacallit, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, because that is on Disney Plus. And I know, look, I'm not the biggest fan of Spider-Man, but I grew up on that show, and I will watch it with my kids. I assume it holds up. I haven't watched it in forever. Look at you two. Completing each other's sentences. Yeah, hopefully. I would hope so. I mean, it is part of the a very famous part of the DC catalog. I don't know why it's not on their current streaming service. Dang nabbit. Yeah, I'm not gonna pay money for that one, assuming it'll be on something at some point. Oh, did I miss a question? Oh, is there a yellow lantern for Sector 2814? Man. Again, I'm a little out of the loop for the last year and a half or so. The yellow lanterns didn't really go by the whole sector thing for all that long. And then they were gathered up by Sinestro, and then the power switched over to his daughter, Saranic, and then they were good and were trying to do good, and it was complicated. And I think that's about when I stopped reading, or that's the status of things. I mean, and then kind of all those books ended, and when we got Grant Morrison doing Green Lantern, it became a very small world. It was like, here's the Hal Jordan story, and yes, he's doing some crazy stuff, and we're gonna have some other characters pop in and out, but it became much less about the larger cores. So yeah, I'm not sure. Are there any yellow lanterns from Earth other than Scarecrow? Well, there have been at times. Superman was a yellow lantern for a little while, which was actually pretty cool. I'm trying to think of anybody else. Where are the rest of my little bases? Shoot. I have a bunch of these older ones. Dang. We're on a hunt. There we go. I'm gonna need more. Where did I get all of these slotted bases? I don't know. They look like Gort. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, I will be able to use these bases, but they're gonna be a little bit of a pain. I remember talking about the Goblin Green bases and not knowing why they were Goblin Green. 8, 9, 10. Oh, almost done, almost done. 8, 9, 10. Yeah, if you go back and look at from a certain Warhammer edition, Games Workshop presented all of their figures with a very distinctive color, green, on their bases. And so some people, even to this day, will paint their bases in that color. Or the closest color you can get, because you can't get that specific color anymore. And welcome back, Aradinsk. Hopefully that went well. I mean, Zardoz, it certainly seemed that way. There are lots and lots of pictures of those goblin green bases out there. Even when it didn't make sense. Sure, hey. Make them green. I'm trying to think if I've watched any good hobby videos in the last few days. So normally what happens in my house is we put the kids to bed, which can be a very long process, starting at about 8:30, and then again sometimes stretching hours into the night. And once we're done with all that, my wife and I will settle down to start our workday. And I'll start checking my YouTube subscriptions to see what thing came out that day. There's always a hobby video or two that bores her to death while I listen to it, and then I always listen to some political stuff and news stuff. But yeah, so typically I'll at least listen to some YouTube late at night. Ouch. I'm eager for Midwinter Minis to get back to their battle royale of start collecting boxes. Even if you can't get those start collecting boxes anymore, it was a cool idea. They bought one of each, and they built them, and then they battle them to determine which one is the best of the start collecting boxes. It was a cool idea. Originally it was going to be, they were going to have all of these different guests come in and play the different things. So obviously pandemic made that tougher, but they would, I guess, like Skype people in to tell Penny what to do with the models. I think that's her name. Yeah, it was a cool idea for a little series. I think they did 2 or 3 of those episodes so far, so I'm waiting for that to pick up again. Zardoz, you get started. Do that for the combat patrol boxes. Right, let's get these guys put together. So this one has, yeah, just like the other one. Put on the head first, and then the gun. Work continues on the house next door at a record pace. Work and noise. There's nothing like being woken up at 7 o'clock by some sort of I want to say it was a nail gun? I don't know. Pretty loud though. But then it actually quieted down, so I was able to go back to sleep for a little while. Which was nice. And yeah, the houses here are, or the lots here are fairly close together. And that the building happens to be going on like right outside our window. But what are you gonna do? They're framing the house now, and it's always shocking how quickly that goes. Like, we look outside and all of a sudden there are, you know, there are walls. Well, yeah, right. I mean, obviously, Zardoz, we're gonna get to see some cooler, or more interesting and diverse combat patrol boxes coming up here. Or who knows? Maybe they'll only make them for Space Marines. Oh no. Oh no. That child is not happy. So our 2-year-old has very strong opinions on things. And if you don't do things exactly the way he wants them to be done, sometimes he will scream. So that's fun. We're working on that. To put it mildly. Yeah, we definitely need more variety in the combat patrol boxes. Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. There's no generic Space Marine box. Interesting. Very interesting. Whoa. Tomorrow, of course, will be the Warhammer War Room stream at 2 p.m. Pacific here on this channel. I do have a special guest. I don't know if I should I announce it now? Should I wait? Where should I announce it? Where and when? I can give hints. What would be a good hint? We'll probably do some talking about, I don't know, things like Tau, Black Templars. I don't know if that gives you a hint about who it might be. Yeah, probably no Jessica for the next couple weeks at least, while Heartbeats is exploding back onto the scene. She's super busy with that. Lots of demands on her time, but she'll be back at some point. Does the guest have an infectious laugh? I mean, you could say that. Does he have strong opinions about porgs? I mean, don't we all really at the end of the day? But yeah, I think you're all probably on the right track. I think you all have cracked the code as to who the guest is going to be. All right, come on. Where are these bases? Uh-oh. All right. Well, it looks like I am officially. No. There's one. Do I have one more? I wonder what I used these bases for that I don't have. Alright, I'm officially out of the modern 25mm slotted bases. So I gotta use one of these older ones. Alright, well, I'll make it work. I mean, to be honest, I've been trying to get Bert on everything. Well, I mean, pretty much forever, but especially since the pandemic happened. Talk about busy people, man. Again, Bert is one of the few people I know these days who has like an actual, like, real day job, and he's very, very busy. And of course, still does other cool stuff too, not just that. But yeah. Ouch. So spiky. Oh yeah, this is one that has the feet on different parts of the base that then stick together. Yeah, and then at some point, I don't know how many, I know some of you saw it, but the podcast Geeks with Shields, I think that's the name of it. But they started a very interesting conversation on Twitter about, are Space Marines good guys? And I think at some point we'll be recording an episode that talks about that in like a roundtable setting, because that is quite the topic that you can get into in a lot of different ways. So I think Bert and I are going to be doing that. And yeah, in a universe without good guys, are there any good guys? Yeah, that's definitely part of the conversation. I was thinking about it, and again, not to, in no way to belittle the real world movements, which I support, but I was thinking that you could discuss Space Marines in sort of a context of, number one, all Space Marines are bad, using the idea of all cops are bad based on the idea that yes, you can have good cops, but if they're working based on racist and bad systems and laws, then that makes inherently what they're doing bad. You could definitely make that argument related to Space Marines, and it's an argument that maybe people can understand. And then also, I was thinking, taking that a step further, I could very easily make an argument of, again, not to belittle the real life movement, because again, I do support it, but or you know, it's a talking point, but defund the Astartes. I can 100% make that argument. So anyway, I'm looking forward to that roundtable. I don't know when it's going to happen, but at some point. Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow, but we should probably save our hottest of takes for the for the actual podcast at some point. No, Zardoz, that's a good question too. When you get into yeah, I mean, like I said, and of course we're putting our morality on top of fictional morality in a universe that's very, very broken to begin with. Okay, how does this one work? I attach. $17. Oh, these two first. Aha, there we go. And then that one goes on the front. Good, good, good. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Ooh, surgery. Who doesn't like surgery? Yeah, I haven't read the Calgar comics yet. I mean, I've heard a lot of the things about it, but haven't read them myself. And yeah, I mean, exactly. If you're talking about a fictional setting, morality might work a little bit differently. And then, we're not... Obviously, we can't talk about characters in a vacuum. These characters are being written in a setting. The heroes of a setting might just be, the heroes that they have. And yeah, so we'll talk about all this stuff. Oh yeah, creating a Space Marine is not a fun process for the subject. And again, why put so much money and effort into a process that hurts children and has a relatively high mortality rate? Although I don't know what it is now in current 40K, how many aspiring Space Marines don't survive the process. I haven't heard any recent lore regarding that. Okay, so somehow this fits together like that and fits that base together. Okay. This is the grenade throwing dude, who looks pretty cool. Ooh, it's close. Come on. Oh. Did not quite get that snap. Nope. Oh. It still fits. It still works. High child mortality rates. Yeah, I mean, most most things in 40K do have that in one way or another. Yeah, people are messed up all over, that's for sure. Okay, and with that, all right, that finishes. Ooh, that's not a good seal. That's okay. My Trader Guardsmen are now done. They'll continue to dry, and I have 2 figures left. Oh, that's weird. Did I do that right? Wait, why do I have... Oh, I see. Were there options in building the Rogue Psychers? Is that a thing? Were there? Yes. There were options. Okay. I was going to say, why do I have some heads but no feet? But that would make sense. So the only thing that remains, again, was an optional rogue psyker part, which is not super useful because it's just like part of a torso and a rock and a staff, but it'll go into my bits box. And then an extra head from something. So yeah, paint one day. Oh, I should say, so I talked about how we're working on airbrush stuff, and actually I have an airbrush that is now in the house. We got a compressor, and my wife got all the stuff set up last night to start working with it. Plugged everything in, got everything ready, flipped the switch on the compressor, and nothing happened. So it's defective, it doesn't work, it's got to go back. So that was disappointing. We were so excited to get started. I know, it's an unhelmeted Chaos Space Marine head. Yeah. So more delays. Yeah. But apparently that's a thing with these small air compressors for airbrushing, that sometimes you buy one and it just doesn't work, and then you gotta send it back. Yeah, Zardoz, yeah, we're looking to see if there, like, could there be any part of it that needs to be set or switched or something, but there does not seem to be. Well, we got it through Amazon, so at least it'll be easy to get a return or a replacement. But still disappointed. Okay, that is the last piece out of these sprues. Right? Yes. Good. Yeah, so essentially they give you two bodies. So so there are four. So the two sets of each of these bodies, and then like the main part of the body, and then you can do. So obviously I did one of each, but you could have done two of one. And these are very disturbing. This one has a big bulbous head. This one also has a bulbous head with a horn growing out of it. He's doing the Professor X, finger to the temple, focus your energies. Oh, super chaos. Cool, cool, cool. Ah, job well done. It's built. I know it's not painted, but it's built. But at least, look, I built this whole box set. Now I can check that one off and go to the other 4, 5 box sets of things I have to build. Or have started, but not finished. I saw that there's a bunch of new little previews for box games and stuff, but I haven't gone through and looked at all of them. Well, we'll talk about those tomorrow for sure. Especially the interesting way that Games Workshop is reusing easy to build molds, especially Space Marines, in these boxed games. Easy to build or monopose, depending on the specific model, which is really interesting. Because, yeah, they have all these little mini games that you can get at Barnes & Noble. In theory, I've never actually seen one at a Barnes & Noble. Not that I've been to a Barnes & Noble in over a year. But, yeah. So, they repurpose some of these easier to build models in these little box games, which can sometimes be a really great way of picking up a few figures for not too much money. Yeah. So, in general, I hope everybody has a good weekend. I still don't know exactly what's happening tomorrow night with the Home Buddies. I don't know if it's been announced anywhere, if anybody's been talking about it. I haven't seen. I haven't been on many people's streams this week just because I've been so busy, unfortunately. But if you know, then you can tell us. Otherwise, keep your eyes on all of our social medias and we'll announce it either later today or tomorrow. But there will be some form of Home Buddies group stream tomorrow night. Definitely be here tomorrow for my Warhammer War Room show at 2 p.m. Pacific. Because yes, we will have the one, the only Bert on to talk about everything. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to do a deep dive. I want to see his models. I want to hear about these, excuse me, these things called Bretonnians. I don't even know what Bretonnians are, but he's going to talk about them. It's like from some old Warhammer fantasy game that doesn't really exist anymore, but he's into that. And then, of course, we'll talk about Tau. We'll talk about Black Templars, which will be highly topical because we started to talk about that last time and why Black Templars can be problematic, but highly depends on the person who's playing them and how and why. So we'll talk about that, and yeah, and just all that good stuff. I can't wait to see some of his cool models and the interesting ways that he's painted things. Hear about what he's working on now. So yeah, that's all happening tomorrow. Oh, they're the French. Got it. I know they have like knights and horses and plumes and things like that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think so. Yeah, Warhammer stuff. My Future Foundation review should go up on Monday. I don't know if honestly, there have been so many other advanced previews coming out this week. I don't even know if I have more than like 1 or 2 dials to show, which is kind of crazy. Usually I have a few at least, but oh well. At least my review will have a lot of pretty pictures and a lot of words. I tend to write a lot of words for my HeroClix reviews. I don't know if anybody actually reads them, but at least there are pictures to look at. Normans. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I know some of the Age of Sigmar world, but yeah, when it comes to the old stuff, I don't really know much of anything. But then something, what is Games Workshop doing with the old world that's coming back? Like what is that going to be? I don't know. We'll talk to Bert about it. Bert will inform me. Oh, maybe we'll see Ninja. I haven't seen Ninja in a long time. Hope he's doing well. Okay, well, I've got a billion and one things that I need to do today. So everybody, have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. If I don't see you on our streams tomorrow. Next week, I think next week is going to be just a normal week of streaming for me. Nothing too crazy going on. But, alright. No rating today, so go and do what you want. Be free. Be free. Fly. Flap your wings. Be free. Okay, bye, everybody.